Intune friends, in today's video we're going to speak about Windows Labs. So what is Labs? Well, it stands for Local Administrator Password Solution. So it speaks about local accounts that are local on the Windows machine. So if we open up computer management, for example, it speaks about all administrative accounts, but built in, you always have one account and you can't do anything about it here, administrator. On my machine, that's disabled, that's default in Intune. And I think that's a pretty good thing. Gonna show why, because for hackers, they can find this account very easily. But before showing that, just to speak a bit about why would you want to have labs. So imagine that you have probably more than 10 computers in your company, right? And if you need to have a unique password for each of these administrator accounts, then you must write those passwords up, and it becomes very cumbersome to keep them up to date, and you need to change them. So in all companies I worked previously in Sweden and long time ago, before Labs, you always had the same password on all machines. So imagine having thousands of machines with a very powerful account called administrator that have the same password. So if you crack one, you have access to all. Or it can also be that if you have a support organization with say 50 people who all know this password, it's not uncommon that people change job, right? So when they leave, we disable their Entra ID as your AD account, but they still know this password. So potentially they could access all machines in the company. And sure, you can rename this account. Let's rename this to many like to name it guest, but now I already have a guest and like to rename it like this one to administrator. So that means if someone hack the administrator account, that's called the administrator, it's actually the guest account. I definitely not recommend that because it gives very little security. The hackers know this. So let's look at that. So we're going to start PowerShell, and we can do PowerShell ISE. Let's run as administrator. We're going to run pretty many PowerShell scripts lines here. So the reason I'm going to explain why you rename administrator to guest. If we do get VMI object, what object do we want? Well, Win32, it's one called users. It's not going to help me with this one, right? User account. So if we run get VMI object Win32 user account, let's see what we get. Well, we get all the users, but we get a bit too much data. Let's do a pipe here and do select object, not that object, and then let's select only name and SID. I'm gonna explain what the SID is. So if we run this now, you know what? I'm gonna do a clear host and rerun it so we see only that. So here we got the name of all of my accounts, local accounts, and SID is the security identifier. And here we have administrator. Remember, that's actually the guest, and guest is actually the administrator. And I wanted to tell why hackers and others can tell that guest actually is the administrator. Well, they just look the SID. The administrator always end with 500. So that's why it's pretty good to disable administrator. So confusing, this is the administrator, it's renamed to guest as we did. Same, the guest is always 501. If we create a new account, it will start with 1001. And that's actually what we're gonna do. So we're gonna keep these disabled. Well, this is the real administrator. You see that in the description here as well. And this is you can change the description too, but the SID is gonna stay the same, and 500 always administrator. So I'll comment this one out because we don't want to see this more for right now. Let's create a new local user. Why do we want a new local user? Well, I want to create a new local user. Then we're going to use Intune to add us as an administrator. And then we're going to use Labs on this new account. If you're using administrator, as I mentioned before, fast forward to where it says configure labs in the chapter on the YouTube video here, and then you only check the labs part. But I want in this video, if you don't have a local admin and you want to create one and add that as a local admin and then change the password, then follow along all the way. So we create the local, well, here we have local user. What do we want? Well, we want a name. I'm going to call mine JBNAdmin. If you wanted something more less obvious, you could put something else, but I'll put that. I'll put the description, and I'm going to call this one JBN local admin account, changing password with lapse. I don't recommend that description, but it's good for this video. And we put no password, because we don't want to know the password of this one, and we won't be able. So what's happened with this account later when labs take over the password is that the password get written to Azure AD, and we can look there what the password is when we need it. Okay, anyhow, let's create this account, and we get an error. It doesn't like the description. Oh, it's too long. You know what? I didn't like anyway changing the password with labs. So let's run it without that. Ah, okay, that works better. So now we have created this one. And if we want to see which seed it got, let's rerun our previous command. So if we rerun that, here you see my JBNAdmin, who is not admin by the way now, it's just a normal account. And you see the seed is 1001. That means it's a custom account. All will start with 5 or 500. Those are built-in accounts. So if we look now here, we see our JBNAdmin is created, but it's not an admin. You see, it's not member of the administrator groups. The only one who is there, it's our admin who is now guest. It's so confusing that I'm going to rename this one back to administrator, because I'm tricking myself here. Oh yeah, it's already exist. So I have to rename you to guest 2. Rename this one back to administrator. Administrate. I might have misspelled it, doesn't matter. And guest. Okay, so now it makes more sense. If we go here to group, administrators is the local administrator account, and these are Entra ID domain accounts. That's why it's the seed. Yeah, we can speak a bit more about the seed. I think maybe I did that, but S, it's the security identifier. 1 means that it's the first revision of this seed. 5 means that it's Microsoft to manage. This all the way here, 21, all the way down here, this is unique for my local machine. So you saw in the administrator group, there was another seed. If we go back here, it starts with 12 and not 21. That's my domain seed. So those are global accounts. These are local accounts only for this computer. And then as mentioned, these are 500 is the admin, and then all the local accounts start from 1001. If I create another one, it's going to be 1002 and so on. Okay, so we have our account. That's how we can create one account. But let's delete this one, and we want to do it with Intune. And there are several ways how you can create this account. You can do it with what's called UMA URI, like a configure item. I prefer to do it by PowerShell script. So we can use my favorite Remediation script. We can look if this account exists, do nothing. If it doesn't exist, create it. So let's do that part now. So we can, I'll put quickly a comment here. Detection script if JBNAdmin local account exists. I don't put my name, usually I do that, but to win some time in this video. So first we need to check if it's already there. So we can do that with PowerShell also. So I'll write it here and then I copy it to a script. Or you know what? Let's do that all in PowerShell ISE. We don't need Notepad++. So we do it here because then we get some help here, right? So get local user, and then we can, if we just run get local user, I'm going to clear host here, then we get all the local accounts. And then if we do dot name, we get only the name here. We could check also enable, but that wouldn't give the data we want. So now get local user, is it case sensitive? Oh, I have to put parentheses here. Get local. Now it should work. Yes. Okay, so here we get all the list. Perfect. Then we want only those who contains, this one contains JBNAdmin. So if we look that, we will probably get nothing. It looks like it doesn't like contains, or let me do this one. False. Okay, I forgot to put the quotation there. So now we look, all the local user accounts, does anyone call JBNAdmin? And that's false. Okay, if that's false, then we want to run our remediation script. So we can do a if, and then we do another parenthesis here, and look, if all this is true, if all is true, then it's good. Then we can do write host, all is good, account is there, and we exit with 0. That means all is good. Else, then I can close with the bracket. So if it's not true, then we want to create it, but we don't do that because this is just the detection script. Then we do write host, account is missing, and we exit with 1. So here we have our first script. Let's save that. And do I have a good place for scripts? I don't. Let's create a new folder then. Scripts. And I'll create another folder called Remediation Scripts. Or Remediation should be enough since it's under scripts, right? So we call this one detection for JBNAdmin account. Or actually, I prefer to have that at the end when you have more scripts. So, well, it can call detection, but I want to end it with the detection also. Now we can do check for. Check for. Because I want them, if you have many scripts, it's not so good if they all start with detection. It's better so you can sort them. Well, we'll see that. Okay, so now if it exits with 1, the account is missing. Well, then we want to create it. And didn't we have we have a part what it's going to do? It's going to be this part here. So I just do Control N, do a new one. I'll paste what we already have, and I'll put a quick comment here. Creating JBNAdmin local user. So, I mean, we could check if it's not, but since we already done it here, I think we can just do one-liner. So we know this one works. So I'm going to save it again. And it's going to be nearly the same, but instead of detection, it's going to be remediation. Remediation. Okay, I think we are good for PowerShell for right now. I'm going to have to open both these files in Notepad and remove sort of a format. If not, we're going to get some strange character. I don't understand why that has not been fixed. I've shown that in some other videos, but I'm going to show that here quickly. So we're going to open both these in Notepad++. So here they are. And we're the encoding is UTF-boom, and that doesn't look good in Intune. It's gonna create some garbage character in the beginning. So we change to UTF-8, and we save. We do the same with this one, encoding, UTF-8, and save. Okay, now I think we will do the rest in the console. So just verify that the account, it's still not here. I'm just gonna refresh. Yeah, it's not here. So now we go to Intune. So Microsoft Intune.microsoft.com, and the remediation script, they have changed place since some of my older videos. So it's under devices and script and remediation. Maybe they'll change again in the future. And here we have pretty many remediation script already. So let's create one. So let's call it create local account, not admin, because right now, as you see, it's just an account. It's called JBNAdmin. Creating a local account named JBNAdmin with the password managed by labs, which is not the case yet, but it will be. Settings. So here we need our two files. So we'll have to go to the root of C, where I put my scripts, and then remediation. So first we want the detection script. Well, it's the first one here. And it's here I mentioned it's a strange garbage character if you don't change the encoding. So here we're just looking, does it exist? If it exists, all good. If it doesn't exist, then exit with 1. If this exit with 1, then it's going to run the remediation script. And the remediation script, the only thing it does is create this account. We don't want to run with the logged in credential, because then we don't have the permission to do it. We don't want to enforce a script signature check, since we haven't done a signature. We do want to run it in 64-bit. So we can go next here. We don't use any scope tags. Assignment. So I want this on all my devices, and of course it won't run on Linux. This is only for Windows. I want it to run actually it just need to run once now when I think about it. If someone delete it, then maybe you can have it recurring, but for me I'm fine to run it only once. So I'm runs on the 12th, that's today. I don't know if we run local time. You know what? To be sure, I put every hour. That's the fastest. I think normally you should set it to run only once, and then you can put any time. Okay, I'll put hourly here. So now we have our script. Yep, it's here. Let's see when it runs, but we have more stuff to do meanwhile. So once this account have been created, it's going to show up on all machines here, but it's not local admin. So how can we make it admin? We could have done that in the script, right? But this give me a chance to show another feature in Intune. So if we go endpoint security, and then we go under account protection, and then we create the policy. You're going to see lapses here also, but we come to that later. So then we have a local user group membership. Here we can manage this. So let's click create here. Let's call this add JBNAdmin to local administrator group. Well, I think the description and the name here fits good, so we can put them the same. So here we want to say, okay, it's a local group. Yes. Which one? Well, the administrators group. You can add it if you have remote desktop users, you can add that as well. What do we want to do? Do we want to add and replace or remove? Yeah, or remove someone. No, we just want to add. Who do we want to add? Well, it's not a group that we can find in Intune, so we have to do manual. So who should we add? Well, if it's a domain, you're in hybrid, you can put your domain name. And here we have the SID again, security identifier. But I'm going to go with just the username, since it's a local account. They can't know which one this is. So we go OK here. So this is going to add that. And to scope tag, we skip again. Let's add it to the same group as we have the remediation remediation script. So all devices then. We don't exclude, but exclude always win over include. So we create this one. Perfect. So now we're going to add that. So now we're actually at the main part of this video, which is the labs. So first things first with labs, we need to enable it in Entra ID. So I go here to portal.azure.com, and under here I go to Microsoft Entra ID. Be sure to be there. I don't know if it's possible. If you're not, be sure to go there. How can look? Let me go to the home. So you click here on the hamburger menu, and then you go to Microsoft Entra ID, which is before called Azure AD. Here you go devices. When you're at devices, you go to device settings. And here you have a lot of interesting things. We're going to go down here to local administrator settings, enable Microsoft Entra local administrator password solution, labs. So we say yes to that. And why do we say yes to that? Well, we're going to write the password back to Entra ID. So we save here. So that's step number one. Now we can go back to Intune, and we are actually where I wanted to be, but if someone fast forward here, I go back to the beginning. So we are in IntuneMicrosoft.com. So we go to the top, then we go to endpoint security. Under endpoint security, we have account protection. And we just previously created so to be sure that JBNAdmin is always member of the local administrator. So we click on create policy, select platform, always Windows 10 or later. And here we have our local admin password solution, labs. Well, it's administrator if you should be, really, it's not the local administrator. But okay, let's do create. So we call this, I'll call this one JBNAdmin labs. Yeah, pretty weak. And here comes a lot of options. So where should the password be backed up? So we have a few options that it will not be backed up. Makes no sense. Well, let's back it up to Azure AD. If you're in hybrid, you could have it to Active Directory. So then password age. Well, 30, I think it's the highest. Oh, it depends. Default is 30. If I had chosen backup to Active Directory, I could put the 1 day here, but unfortunately 7 is the lowest for Azure AD or Entra ID. It's actually written here Azure AD and Azure AD, but it's Entra ID. So I haven't updated that yet. So I'm going to go with 7 days. That means I might not see this password change until 7 days, which means I will have to pause the video at the end of this one, wait 7 days, and then to be sure that the password shows up in Entra ID. Then what is the name? Well, it's here. We have to put in whatever your account name is. Mine is JBNAdmin, so that's the account. So you don't have to change only the local administrator. So labs manage the password for us. How should it be complexity? Well, I want it as hard as possible, which is a bit of a pain when you actually need this password. You need to type all those strange characters. And the one I don't like is when it's an I or a lower L. They look the same. Well, or sometimes 0 and O are similar, but that's easier. Okay, password length. So the longest, 14 is the default. I think the longest is 64 character. So 64 characters is a bit evil. Let's go with 32. That's already a lot, but we want it secure. This is an important account. Some post-authentication action. That is, if it have expired, what should it do with the account? Because, I mean, you could, if you know the old password and you log in, you could stay logged in forever. So this is to be able to take some actions so you can't log in with the old password and never log off. So I'm not going to configure this, but you have the default one is good enough for me. But you have, so you can reset the password when it expires. but not much will happen. Log off the manage account. Okay, I say I wanted to configure, but let's say log off. If you're logged in as the JBNAdmin, then of course. And how long should it wait? 24, I think it's the highest though. Oh, this is hours. I thought it was days. Let's go with 24 hours. So you can be logged in 24 hours, then this kick in. So those are all the configuration options for labs. So we can go next. No scope tags. Scope tags would be if you are a big company and you have maybe by location. If you have like Paris office, you could say, oh, this is only for Paris office if you want a different account. But I put for global, and I'm going to put it for all devices. So we go next, and now this one is created. This be interesting to see. So when this one happens, I don't have any JBNAdmin, the first one we created. And then the lapse, that's also going to happen, but it's not going to find the account until it's been created. Let's see if it had been created on this machine yet. Probably not. No, because the remediation script haven't run yet. So I'm just going to check a bit the remediation script. If not, I pause and come back once that have ran, because before that have ran, we don't have the account, scripts on remediation. So we have this one have not ran yet. So we could do something. Let's see if it works. If I go to all devices, I'm on this one right now. Let's run the remediation so we don't have to wait. So I'm going to run this one, the first one. Let's run this one, then we don't have to wait. Let's hope I didn't do any typos or something bad in the script with the logic. If I've done, we fix it. Just gonna see. I'm pretty sure this one works. I'm just wondering if I did, maybe this doesn't work or something. So if it doesn't find JBNAdmin, if it finds it, then it's true, all good. If it's false, it should say account is missing, exit one. Should work, but who knows? So here we have run. Oh, it says complete. Let's hope if I do a refresh, I have the account here. I have. I'm always so surprised that things that should work actually work. Okay, perfect. So we have this account. Now we want the other things to run, like if we go back to endpoint security, now we are at account protection. It's assigned. Let's see, we first want, well, it doesn't really matter which one run first. If we change the password or local admin added to the group, it have not run again. So I'll post the video here. I'm going to restart some services and do sync and see if I can speed it up. So see you once that's done. Okay, it took some time for this to happen, and I even got some errors, and then it ran again, and then it worked. So it seems to be a bit buggy. But here now in the administrator groups, we do see our account JBNAdmin. It could also be something like it ran before this one was created, then the error is justified, of course. So if we look here, JBNAdmins to local, now I got success, but I got actually error 65,000 also. But here it worked on both my machines, so succeeded, as we could see. The account is added. What about lapse? Well, lapse we have here, and it also says success. Perfect. All our settings succeeded. If you get error, you can click in and see which part did not work, since we had multiple settings. Perfect. Again, this can take some time now before it reports back. We put 7 days, I think it was. I forgot we have the option to manually rotate the password. So I'm admin, so I have this permission. If not you, it's a remote task that you need read rotate local admin password. So I'm gonna do that, so hopefully we win sometimes. So I'm here on the device, and if I click here on the three dots, we have rotate local admin password. So let's run that. Device loses the old password. Well, it doesn't even have any password right now. Perfect. Will generate password, will expire. Perfect. Rotate password anyway. Yes. So then we get one of these actions here, pending. So once that's done, hopefully we find our new password here. And that's for this account. I'm closing the event viewer. It is for this user here. Okay, so now it says it have rotated and complete. Let's see if we see that in the event viewer also. Refresh to be sure I have the latest. We have, yes, here, a 1020. Okay, that seems to be a good event ID code to look for. So it says labs have updated the local admin account with a new password. So JBN, perfect. JBNAdmin. So that seems to work well. Let's hope it's also show up here under local password. It does. Excellent. So now imagine that this machine had problem. For some reason I can't log in with my cloud account. Usually I would reset that such machine with autopilot, but let's say we really want to get into it. So our only hope is this local account, which is, now I close the logs, hopefully we will not need that anymore. Is this JBNAdmin, who is a local administrator. So we have permission to do whatever we want on this machine, but we don't know the password. And we don't have the same password for all devices. That's not secure. Well, we just showed the password here. So the local password, you remember I said 24 characters and complex. Yes, I can copy this one. Yeah, very complex. And then use this one. And in 7 days, this is gonna change this password. So very secure, very good. It says next one is in 7 days. Or if you have to give out the password, which you should never do, obviously, but if it's a real emergency or someone have done it by mistake, you give the password and then you just rotate it again. Rotate the local administration password. So this works really good. Let's see if I can wrap up what we have done here. So we did the three things. First, we created a remediation script to check if this user exists, JBNAdmin. If it doesn't, we create it. If you use the locally administrator account, the one with the SID who ends with 500, you don't need to do this. But I think it's more secure to have one where the hackers don't know the SID. Then, of course, I named mine JBNAdmin, which gives away that it's an admin. Then we did the rest in Intune under endpoint security. And here under account protection, we created a policy or a configuration profile that added our account JBNAdmin to the local admin group. Again, we could have added that in the script to add it. And then the most important, we created a lapse policy that changed this account password. So if we look here, here is our thing. So we back it up to Azure AD. That's how we can see the password. And it's unique per machine. We change it every 7 days. You can definitely have a longer here. Then which account? Here you put administrator if it's the local one. And if you want it complex, I wanted it. How many characters? 32, maybe a bit too much, but you can't get enough security, right? So we have done this successfully. I think this is pretty cool. I'm more for disable local accounts and not have it, but if you have it one, you definitely should use labs. Have a great day. Thank you very much.